From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. Weeks of climbing COVID cases, and today the largest numbers yet across the state and across the nation. Montana alone reporting more than 1,000 new cases of the coronavirus today. Along with 1,063 new cases, MTN also reporting 23 more COVID-related deaths. That brings the statewide death total up to 384. 12 of those deaths are from Roosevelt County, 4 here in Yellowstone, 2 each in Daniels and Carter counties, and 1 each in Missoula, Gallatin, and Ravalli counties. There are now more than 32,000 total cases in Montana, and more than 22,000 people have recovered. The only 2 counties that currently do not have any new cases are Mineral and Petroleum. Just a reminder, if you do need to get a COVID test here in Billings, there's a new testing site available. Earlier this month, Riverstone Health moved their testing site from the Shrine Auditorium to the United Way of Yellowstone County campus at 2173 Overland Avenue. The new location has indoor bays for drive-through all-weather testing. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton said that as the days get shorter and colder, they wanted a place that would protect those getting tested and their staff from elements. The free COVID-19 testing site is open Monday through Friday from 8:30 in the morning until 12:30 p.m. Now, this is a free testing site for people who have symptoms of COVID-19 or who have been notified by Riverstone Health that they've been in contact with someone who has tested positive for the virus. Well, in Laurel, 1st, 3rd, and 4th grade students will be shifting to online learning beginning on Monday, November 2nd. That move is for all 3rd and 4th grade students at Graff School, but only for 1st graders at West School. According to a release from Laurel Public Schools, the change is being made due to a lack of staff and shortage of substitute teachers. Classes will remain remote through at least Friday, November 13th. Well, a Billings teenager is telling his incredible story after surviving a plane crash last summer. This is all that was left of the plane after it crashed into the mountain range in Madison County. Reef Hogan spent about a month in the hospital recovering following the crash that killed his father, Brandon Hogan.
We weren't high enough to recover from a stall like that. And my dad just said, "Reef, hold on." And I was like, I didn't say anything. I was like, oh God, I just thought that. And then he just said, "I love you, son." And I just said, "I love you too, Dad." And then all of a sudden the plane just dived into the right, and then it just started spiraling. It was hard to tell what was going on. I kept my eyes open. I didn't really feel afraid. I was just like, well, it's happening now. I might as well just get through it.
Well, what Reef went through, not just with the crash, but waiting for hours to be rescued afterwards, is truly amazing. I'll bring you the full story Monday here on Q2. The Billings Police Department is in desperate need of help from the public as the search for a missing woman continues. Amelia Brooks went missing in the evening hours of October 13th after last being seen at a residence in the 800 block of Caroline Street. The 22-year-old was last seen wearing a tan wool jacket and yoga pants. She's described as being 5 feet 1 inches tall, weighing around 200 pounds. Detectives are looking for any information regarding the case. They ask any residents near 800 Caroline to check their properties and outbuildings for anything unusual, as well as any surveillance video they may have from the night of October 13th. And anyone with information is asked to contact dispatch. That number is 657-8200. Montana's next legislature won't be elected until next week, but Republicans are pretty much a lock to remain in the majority. And some GOP lawmakers have been drawing up their priorities, especially if they have a Republican governor for the first time in 16 years. MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison obtained a copy of some of those plans and files this report.
The draft plan has 7 pages of detailed proposals. Its top priorities include cutting the state's top income tax rate, using lodging taxes to help finance reductions in property taxes, expanding drug treatment courts, and restricting the power of local health boards and the governor to issue regulations on COVID-19. But it doesn't stop there. Some of its other proposals, ending Election Day voter registration, peeling back regulations on natural resource projects, a new tax on renewable power that's sold out of state, restricting abortion, and greatly expanding school choice, which would be some form of public aid or tax credits that help kids going to private schools or other alternative forms of education. State Representative Derek Skees of Kalispell, who helped draft some of the plans, told MTN News that Republicans want to hit the ground running and that the list is their way of getting prepared. He also says Republican lawmakers have been meeting with Republican gubernatorial candidate Greg Gianforte about their plans and that Skees doesn't see a lot of disagreement. Yet a spokesman for Gianforte says his priorities are outlined in his Montana comeback plan, which he released in July. Gianforte is locked in a tight battle with Democrat Mike Cooney for governor. Libertarian Lyman Bishop of Kalispell also is on the ballot for governor. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, the GOP legislative plans were drafted by the conservative wing of Republicans in the Montana House. MTN News has learned that a bloc of more moderate Republicans is working on their own set of proposals as well. Well, across the state, more than 480,000 Montana voters have cast their ballots so far, and here in Yellowstone County, we broke the record today. Yellowstone County Election Administrator Brett Rutherford tells Q2 the county has received 72,560 ballots as of about 4 o'clock this afternoon. This total tops the turnout for 2016, which saw 71,871 for the entire election. Now, registration and ballot replacement resumes on Monday at the Montana Pavilion at Metro Park at 8 a.m. It'll close at 12 noon in accordance with state law, but then it reopens at 7 a.m. on Election Day Tuesday. And on Election Day, there will also be expanded drop sites across the county. The only place to register or get a replacement ballot in Yellowstone County is at Metro Park. The Trump administration is removing the gray wolf from the endangered species list. U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services says the population has recovered and the nation now has about 6,000 gray wolves. The president of a national wildlife activism group said stripping protections for gray wolves is premature and reckless. He vowed that the group will be taking the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to court. Members of the Yellowstone County Continuum of Care found a new way to provide shelter and a place to quarantine for the homeless population of Billings. Q2 Shaquille Kozar talks to two people involved with the creation of the Off the Street shelter.
I'm here at 3311 2nd Avenue North Street, where the once Western Inn Motel has been converted into a winter emergency shelter for the homeless and also a quarantine and isolation facility. I spoke with two people that are involved with the program to see how it all came about.
This really came about as an emergency response. That we've known for years that we've needed a low barrier shelter, but through COVID, it's just escalated so much. We've seen so much increase in the homeless, so much concerns with downtown businesses, with so many different areas. So the Continuum of Care came together and said, we have to do something right now.
And what they did was create the off-street shelter. The shelter will be open from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. for those that are homeless and need shelter for the night. For those that are in quarantine and isolation, the shelter will be open 24/7, and it will be staffed at those times and secured. Organizers say the shelter will not be a replacement for the men's and women's shelter that is currently in Billings. However, it will allow people that are not able to get into those two shelters for various reasons to have a place to stay at night and to isolate.
We're really hoping that we can get folks in, get them off the street, and then provide services for them so that they move right from their shelter right into more permanent housing.
And if you're wondering about cleaning, Bartle says that a company that specializes in deep cleaning after COVID will be coming out and cleaning each room after guests leave. In Billings, Shaquille Kozart, MTN News.
Thank you, Shaquille. Organizers say that this is a short-term, 12-month solution to emergency shelter needs as a result of the pandemic. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News here on Q2, the FBI says cyber crimes have gone up 400% during this pandemic across all avenues, including hitting home with our own Jay Cohn. His story coming up after the break.
And coming up in weather, we'll have your trick-or-treat forecast. It looks like the little ghosts and goblins are going to have a little bit easier this year. Mother Nature's not going to be quite as harsh. We'll talk about it in a few more minutes.